What is up, everybody? It is an exciting Wednesday. I believe it's Wednesday, right?
It is Wednesday. Sorry, we're a little late from our Sunday.
This is the show that everybody's been waiting on for years right here. So we are excited. Got my boy, Drew Boyd, my partner in crime, the D&D of RC right here. Okay. We've got Mr. Jimmy Babcock, a legend himself, has joined us, at least in his own mind. Right, Jimmy?
Sure. Yeah, if you say so.
And we got Matt Olson of Mod, the man himself. You know, if you don't know about Matt, he's going to tell you a little bit about himself and what he does. But he's got some interesting stories. He's been on TV, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
All sorts of stuff. We're on doing battle bots now, so that's pretty fun.
That's right. So I saw Matt on battle bots. I told my wife, I said, "That's Matt Olson." He's out there wrecking people like Drew does on the track.
No, come on,
pretty cool. But exciting night, guys. We're gonna spend some time tonight. We're really gonna talk about the race, and we're gonna talk about Mod, and we're gonna talk about the history of Jimmy. And Drew and I are here for the ride. So I'm gonna do a little backstage work while y'all start the chat and make sure this thing is posted, and that we go viral with this video tonight.
Sounds great. Well, Dirk, you take your time getting that stuff done. I'll do my typical little intros to both the guys, and I always love to connect my stories to both of them and just kind of get the ball started. But yeah, we're super excited. This is a well-needed live cast. We've been introducing a lot of legends so far, and we've got more to go. But we also needed to take a break, especially with the signups for this event going live this Friday. It was time to introduce our race director, Jimmy Babcock, which we're super excited about. Jimmy, we approached Jason Rona, who's our title sponsor and really a guy that we went to from the very beginning of this conversation of this race. And Dirk kind of threw out some ideas of race directors, and we kind of talked to Jason about it. And when your name popped up, his eyes, you could kind of tell lit up a little bit. And he said, I don't know if there's a better personality in terms of, running a well-oiled race, but also merging, modern knowledge and of course the vintage crowd, to an event like you would. So once we kind of got his blessing, it was like a no-brainer for us to move forward. And we've been so happy that you've been just so forthcoming, so willing to come out from the West Coast and bring all your knowledge and expertise to what we're doing. And not only that, you are a confirmed legend at our event as well. You have a big pedigree of Worlds racing and Worlds A main racing, and you're going to be a part of that Legends Invite race. So we're going to talk about that because that's kind of fun, and a lot of people have been asking. And then on the mod side, Matt, I got introduced to you back at Top Gun Shootout in 2018. I was out there with Butters, Jason Engel.
Oh, yeah. I remember him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we were kind of going out there with the crew, me, him, and Dalton Myers and Alex Hamilton, and we raced together. And I think you gave me a free mod T-shirt, actually, which I wore for the podcast tonight. There we go.
Right on. Got it.
And we started the relationship, and ever since then, Matt, I've just always supported your brand willingly. I run, pucks and mod aluminum bones and mod pistons in pretty much every car that I own, and that's an extensive list of cars. So, and then when you started this whole media thing, I just, there's just so many stories. I've been on airplanes during some of these races that you do. And it's just amazing to be connected, and I love watching the broadcast and being part of the waffles and being a part of the race even though I'm not there. And seeing my DBR logo scroll across the bottom of the screen is just awesome at the Clash, and I love supporting the Henleys. So our relationship goes back, even though we're not talking all the time, but we're just super excited to bring both of you guys together for worldwide coverage and Jimmy's expertise and all the interviews and everything you do. So let's get this thing kicked off. I want to talk about Mod and about Jimmy's background. I want to talk about merging into the race and what all your guys' expectations are, and just throw out thoughts and ideas as we go along so I can take some notes. Maybe there's something that we haven't uncovered, and if it is, we'll talk about it. But I guess I'll give the floor to Jimmy first. Jimmy, if you want to talk a little bit about your background, and we'll kind of start there.
Well, for me, it all started when I was 17. Ironically, I just turned 50 this year. So I've been doing it for about 33 years and discovered, RC cars in high school and, made my way to, my home track here. And at the time it was called Fast Lane and started racing and, honing my skills here. And then eventually, started getting, recognized and got eventually sponsored by Losi at the time, way before TLR. But the team manager was a guy named Jack Johnson at the time. And,
there we go.
Yeah, who's that?
So put a year on that night. That 17 years old. What year are we talking?
That was 1990. Let's see, 91. 1991 is when I stepped foot here because I graduated high school in 92.
Okay.
And so Jack, I believe it was the Norca Nationals in 96. So I started in 91, and then within 5 years, I was already hitting the Nationals. I remember we drove 22 hours straight to Oklahoma City for the Nationals, the Norca Nationals. And at that time they had factory class, which was the 3 factory, the 2-wheel, 4-wheel and stadium truck. And then they had the expert classes. So I was running the expert classes. I ran all 4, meaning, stock buggy, stock truck, mod buggy, mod truck. And I ended up winning 3 of the 4 nationals that year. And Jack approached me a couple days later and basically told me that they were just going to put me 50%, but I was working at the hobby shop by that point, and I was already getting 50% off through the shop. So he's like, "We're just going to go ahead and throw you at 100," and I said, "Fine with me." And then that was pretty much it. And raced all over the world like all these guys nowadays. And a lot of people forget that because I've been doing the announcing for so many years now that people forgot that I had a racing career way before the announcing. And, when the racing died down pretty much mid 2000s, I kind of wanted to find something else I can do within the industry to stay in the industry. And so I started announcing club races and I had a racing career way before the industry. So I started announcing club races, and then I started at the time was our Hotrod Hobbies off-road shootout, and in the mid 2000s that ended up getting 450. I mean, we had everybody, Masami and people from all over Australia, Germany, everywhere, and then when all these people started coming to Hotrod, then I started getting more announcing gigs because these people would see what I did and, say, "Hey, come do our race." And, I believe that's one of the ways I met Jason Rona when he had me come out to Florida and do, his race. Pretty much the rest is history. Once I found the announcing gig, I started doing that full steam, and it just picked up and more races each and every year. And got to the point where it was so much that I had to back it down. I mean, I was up to 42, 43 weekends a year with only less than 10 weekends off the whole year. And,
Wow.
With certain stretches, I mean, I think my record is 3.5 months straight of every single weekend. So that would be 14, 15 consecutive weekends I had races, I think was the record. And that was many, many, many years ago. Over the last few years, I've kind of backed it down a little bit and focused on a lot of, my series races and stuff out here and helping, Joey Christensen from the dirt with his big events. And here we are.
Wow,
Oh, man.
Jeremy Moser is alive.
A lot of traveling, yeah.
So, I met Jimmy. Jimmy used to come to the Tennessee surrounding area, Alabama, Georgia, and him and Lance used to call a lot of races together. So that's kind of how Jimmy and I got to know each other, because Jimmy was just getting hot in RC when I was leaving RC for the first time. And we always had a great time. Jimmy's a dude. And when, like you were saying earlier, Drew, when I was thinking of somebody that I would love, that had a vintage background, knew the items, knew the cars, understand what, vintage racing was truly about. I couldn't think of a better person. And he looks good in the black t-shirt.
Yeah, he does. He does. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, we're super excited. I know that Dirk told this story a lot, but him and Kirby from K&K had this vision of putting on a race that brought all the legends back as a reunion. And, honestly, I have been promoting some races myself over the past couple of years and obviously just gaining a relationship with the Henleys. And, that had been kind of organically going well. I had started this collection of vintage cars that's kind of behind me in my basement that kind of got my passion stirred a little bit too. And, relationships just started developing. And so this kind of became like a really cool storm. And then, I flew out there, met with Joel and got the ball rolling. And then obviously my relationship with Dunbar, I run the Yokomo cars with him now locally, and he helps me out a bunch with setups. And so bringing him and Joel together, and then we kind of started having like a base of legends, and we started just like, those guys started talking to other legends. Next thing you know, Matt Francis is coming to the race and Greg Hodap's coming to the race. And then obviously Dirk brought Eustace to the stage. And I mean, it's just really snowballed into something. I think we're the link for the lineups is live. It's not live, but it's posted out there, but it's not live yet. We already put some of the names in the invite class. We already got 13, A main world drivers in that class alone. And so we're really excited to see what the signups do here starting Friday. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, let's get an introduction going with Matt. He's just an interesting guy too. And he traveled a ton just like you, Jimmy, or have. And let's learn a little bit about Matt, and we'll merge all these conversations together.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for having me on. Obviously, Matt Olson from Mod, and that center logo there, MIP. I work for them. A lot of people know me from that. I worked for Eustace for about 7-8 years. Before that, I worked for the magazine, Extreme RC Magazine. I'm sure all the guys know that's where they had the girls in it. Jimmy definitely knows, that one. That was a good magazine. And then before that, I worked at OCRC. That was my first job. Was in the hobby shop when it was Gyro Hobbies. As I'm just rewinding, I started in about 2001, so at about 10 years old. Jimmy started racing in 1991. That was when I was born. So it was a good year. It was a good year. And I grew up racing at SoCal. When it wasn't at the original one that was in, Jimmy's gonna let me know where it was. It's now in LA Fitness.
Garden Grove.
The Garden Grove one, and then it ended up moving over. I think it was Huntington Beach off of Brookhurst there, something like that, off the 405. And but my first truck was actually a double XT, and my brother had bought it, and he ended up getting out of it pretty early, and I bought all of his stuff. I had the Tekin, the old Tekin Gold Charger, the Tekin speed controller. You had the solder, like the little fuse together, and that was my first vehicle. And so the vintage, for me, even though I'm not, as old as some of the guys, and these legends, I was definitely in the era of the, normal, nickel metal hydride batteries, cutting comms, doing everything like that. And back in the day when I was racing, actually, like the JBRL, Jimmy's, a legend with it all. And I was traveling around to his races before we had, Google Maps. I would print out MapQuest to and from, and I'd have a binder of them going to his races, and racing that up. And I think I won a couple series maybe back in the day in stock classes. So I've known Jimmy all my racing, life. And, I haven't been as much able to attend lately just due to the business. Mod takes up a lot of my time. We've added on Mod Live Media. We also have partners in with timing and scoring for rcgaragetiming.com and rcgarage.info, which actually does all the rankings for not just basically like the top 25 RC type of thing, but it does it for the world. So every racer is now ranked. for it all. And so something we can, we have across all classes: 2-wheel, stock, 4-wheel drive, modified, 8-scale, pan car, oval. So we're working on that too, and
Wow.
just a little bit of everything. So yeah, been busy, and then Mod Live Media thrown in it, and yeah, that started up because I don't believe that there was enough coverage for like little big events. And as the consumer stuff got a little bit better and easier from a live standpoint, I invested in that for my own stuff. And then kind of as Jimmy got better and better with announcing, kind of we got better and better with live coverage. And then people are like, hey, could you come out and cover our race? And it kind of snowballed from there. And now I'm talking to you guys. So it's been a very cool journey, and RC has brought, it's been my life forever.
Yeah.
It is your life, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It truly is your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So we've talked about this a lot. I mean, Eustace was on here and we talked about you, Matt. He raved about you and how you guys got your relationship started and how talented you were at writing and the media write-ups that you did for him, and how he brought you on, and then you became, he raved about your talents as a racer and traveling around and working on all those different platforms. I've got the MIP Techno box over there. My son still races that car. Super cool. But yeah, I mean, I talk to Dirk about this all the time. It's just amazing. Like, literally the coverage that we have at these big races with photography and social media, but also your broadcast and even lifetime. It's like almost more coverage than like NASCAR and F1 even have. It's just really, truly incredible what this sport has developed into from a media coverage standpoint. I think it's amazing. I really enjoy, if I can't go to certain races, I'm out of town or traveling, I just love to be connected. And I feel like I don't miss much by just looking at everything that's going on. It's super cool. So kudos to what you guys do.
Yeah, thank you. And I have to give a small shout out to RC Garage Timing and Andre over there. He's, he really makes us look good, from the pop-up pictures to a lot of the things that are going on there. The whole database that it takes to do what we do for that, and to really have the different car pictures in there and the people and bringing it back, and where it's a transparent background and stuff like that. They are huge. So big shout out to RCG Timing and rcgarage.info. And hats off to them. And then also Jimmy knows Jason Bollinger used to shoot photos for him at his races. And I met Jason at the magazine. And he's bar none. Somebody said it the other day that he's a savant with a camera. The guy is. He is so good. He's the best in the industry. For it, and just really makes us look professional. Not just us as a company, but I think the hobby, he really captures it in a different light. And for him, he's actually not too far from Hoosier, which is awesome. I think it's the one race he can drive to. He's in Kentucky. And cool. He does normal photography for a living. We wish we could employ him for RC, but as we know, that's tough. But when he is able to come out, he's such a he writes all of our posts and everything like that, and he has a lot of fun with it. And what he's able to do and showcase to the world, I think that this vintage event is going to be to another level, because a lot of these things, let's be honest, they're regurgitated just on a different platform, right? It's a lot of the same guys. It's just a different tire tread, different track surface. But it's, you see a couple cycle in and out, and it's exciting for the battles. But to have an event that's, about the race, but more so about a lot of the people that are coming out of the woodwork that made this hobby great. Like I would say, like Eustace, I would say he's one of the godfathers of, RC, especially in the manufacturing realm, of that really made stuff happen. I was there at MIP last week, and I was looking at all the stuff for the 4-wheel drive RC10 stuff. Oh, okay, I'm not supposed to say that.
No, he
maybe
talked
not.
about
I
his
let
live
the cat out of the bag. It's nothing's done yet, but I know that
we've already
it's
talked about it.
top shelf. But that's going to be an amazing product. You know, and what MIP brings to it. But there's a whole bunch of them. I know Joel Johnson, Matt Francis, a lot of those guys I looked up to when I first started racing. And then a huge shout out as well to Jason Rona from JConcepts. He's you know, a legend in his own right with everything, and he actually kind of gave us our big break when we were kind of doing a little bit of, you know, soul searching on different events and what we were doing. You know, he gave us that opportunity for the JConcepts INS and NCTS series and said, hey, we want to book you for every single event. And back then I was a one-man show. I would do everything. I'd swing the camera, talk to everybody, set everything up, break it all down. But as we've progressed, it's become unsustainable to provide. Yeah, it's become unsustainable as you actually need a good camera guy just on it all the time where you can do other things. You need a good photography guy. You need an announcer. You know, you need a production guy behind the scenes to really kind of manage all of that. And then you kind of get these quality streams that we see today. And there's a lot of good people out there to do it. And it's amazing that you guys see and JConcepts and these other companies see the value in the media to, you know, kind of bring us mainstream.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, just so many things. I made some notes on some of the stuff you said, because I definitely want to talk about it a little bit more as we progress in this call, because I think, to your point, this event is going to be unique, right? I mean, okay, so let's take an example. The race you guys just did, you had the mac and cheese guy, right? And you had that Traxxas band that he made, and that went viral, and everybody was looking at the photos. You did a photo shoot and stuff. So we'll talk more about that, but you know, Jimmy, we approached you on this event, and Dirk talked about the concept of it. You know, what was your initial thoughts? I like to kind of talk about that a bit, just to kind of include you in the next conversation about you racing, and announce what you're going to do at the event too.
Well, I love the concept, and you know, once again, thanks to all of you guys for including me, and thanks to Jason for bringing it up. And I got a chuckle. I think one of you guys mentioned when you guys were talking about who to get to announce. You said, okay, let's do this vintage race, and who's the most vintage announcer that we can get. And then, of course, my name came up, so that was pretty funny. But no, I think it's going to be really, really good. It's funny because here at my hobby store, you know, I'm talking to customers every single day, and at least once, twice a day, somebody will come in with an old car. And of course, I don't have anything on my walls, on my shelves, or anything for it. And so it kind of brings up, you know, the past, and we get to talking about it. And, you know, I kind of, you know, tell them about, you know, the event that's coming up, even though it's in a different state, and, you know, that there's a whole world. Because in my early days, you know, there wasn't a vintage scene because I was part of the early days. I wasn't the early guy, but, you know, I think 10, 15 years in. So the first, you know, all my racing career, there wasn't a vintage scene, but now there is a vintage scene. And, you know, guys kept it alive out here. Like you guys mentioned, Chris Van Air, he used to be, you know, a Southern California guy. And, you know, he would always, you know, come out and race some JBRLs with, you know, 15-year-old, 20-year-old car. And, you know, was always trying to get me to add, you know, vintage classes to a lot of my events. And, you know, we did it a couple times, and, you know, it never really took off because, you know, once again, there's not a lot of those cars laying around. So to have something like this and go through all the effort that you guys are doing and getting all these legends on here and getting them to come out to the race, it's just very awesome, because it obviously brings back a lot of memories for me. You know, just being there, I'm going to see all the guys that I used to, you know, share hotels with, and, you know, sit on airplanes with, and you know, going out afterwards. That's where Dunbar came in. So we would have we would have our good time. There was times that we would be you know, like sitting at the table, you know, in Vegas, you know, in our dress up clothes, and, guys would be wheeling their bags, to the parking lot in the morning, and we would kind of look at each other like, oh man, it's time to go to the track. So we would just kind of run to the room, shower, change, and go right to the track and be able to do it all day long and without any sleep. But those were the young days. Nowadays, not so much. But
Right.
It's funny, Jimmy, you mentioned Von Air. I finally got to meet him after all this, probably 10 years of us talking about vintage racing and trying to get you to do more vintage racing at your track. I mean, that's been going on for probably 8 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
I finally got to meet him at Hoosier the other day, and him and his wife, and spend a little time with them. So it was really cool. He's all about his vintage stuff, man. He loves it.
Yeah, everything that I'm a part of is got some sort of vintage, like my hobby store here. I'm not 100% positive, but I'm pretty sure that we're the second oldest RC track in the country. We opened up in 87, so we're 37 years in now here at Hotrod. And I want to say that Moore RC Raceway in Aurora, Colorado, they opened in 86, so they're 1 year older than us. But from myself, obviously at the time they weren't vintage, but now all the cars that I raced back in the day are all now considered vintage. It's just awesome to be a part, because I know you guys could have chose. I know Jason could have recommended, a number of announcers, but I appreciate you guys choosing me, and I'm really excited to be a part of this thing.
It's between you and 10 other guys, Jimmy, and you won.
What was that?
It's between you and 10 other guys, and you won. Just so you know.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's funny because you guys were mentioning Lance, and I used to go out and do all the race time events back there for many, many years, and I'll never forget. I was actually out there. It's funny, Matt's here because me and Nick Black were out there. Over the years, I've had assistants, just like Matt. Matt's got an awesome crew. He's got David Orner. He's got Chris Mueller. Of course, Jason Wollinger, who was got his start, I guess, in the JBRL. He followed us around, and all he ever wanted was free racing, and he came with us for many, many years, and made the JBRL in its early years look really, really good. And then of course he's actually even done weddings for friends of mine as well. So we go way back, but it's gonna be really, really cool. And I remember me and Nick were doing the AMS race, and I remember Dave Lycom bringing over this guy and says, "Hey, this is Lance, and he's wants to learn how to put on race events." And so that was the year. I don't even think Matt remembers. This might have been before his time, but for whatever reason, Nick Black decided to bring like 3-piece suits to all the races we went to.
Called him the suit.
Yeah, he was the suit. He was called the suit. So he would just bring all these suits and be completely dressed up as an announcer, like from head to toe, dress shoes, the whole nine. And you would have to know Nick to know why, but he's just that kind of guy, great guy. And Nick's there sitting in his suit. I'm sitting there. We're calling the race. They brings over this guy named Lance, and I'm trying to explain. I'm like, okay, well, this is how this, and so I kind of tried to explain all this stuff to him and help him out the best we could. And then now he's doing great things, and it's great to see.
He is busy. Jimmy, do you remember the year I brought Lance some Snicker bars at AMS when he was having a bad day?
Yeah, there's been a lot of bad days with Lance in the early days. Such a perfectionist, and
oh yeah.
I'll never forget one little quick story. But we were at Psycho Nitro Blast, and the computer just decided right in the middle of the race to shut off or do an update or something. And Dave was in there with us, and we were all just chatting, and all of a sudden the computer just shut off, and it was right in the middle of a race, and Lance is like freaking out, and I believe he ended up like slamming the microphone down on the table, like oh man, what are we gonna do? And I'm looking around, and I'm like, the only thing you can do. I picked up the mic all calmly, and I said, hey guys, the computer shut down. I need y'all to pull them in. We're gonna rerun this race in about 10 races. We'll let you know when it's gonna be. And
Yep.
you know, get those batteries recharged, because I believe it was an electric and e-buggy race. And they're both looking at me like, oh, and I go, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, when it's out of your control, like, you know, it's no one's fault when the computer starts an update or does this, that, or the other. And you know, stuff like that happens every once in a while. And, you know, you just work through it.
Yeah. Well, amazing stories. You know, there's a lot of stories popping up. One that I like a lot, and it's asking about Matt and kind of his chassis that he started racing with. But the question was, will he be racing a vintage car at this race? So let's go ahead and give the people what they want real quick. Jimmy, we talked about this week, but a lot of people have been posting on your confirmed cards this week saying, oh my gosh, Jimmy's going to be racing at the event. So, Jimmy, you were obviously a Losi guy back in the day, but now you're a team associated guy. Mm-hmm. And we have put together a team associated B3 for Jimmy. That's going to have his scheme and all his little fun details in the car that he wants. And he will be competing in, it looks like, the Legends Invite class, along with all these other amazing A-Main World Legends guys. It's interesting. I was having a conversation with someone this week. Actually, it was Chris, and we were talking about you. And he said, dude, Jimmy's the type of guy where if he gets a couple practice packs on a radio with a car, he may just end up beating everybody in that class. So I don't want to put any pressure on you, Jimmy, but I'm just telling you that there's people out there spreading rumors about your talent. So,
well, the funny thing is, and I tell the kids to this day, I actually love pressure. Like, the more pressure, the better. Like, because psychologically in my head, when there's a lot of pressure, I know that a lot of other people are going to cave, and that's what gives me more confidence to do better. So I've always done better, you know, like at a world championship, especially when they're calling your name or when you're leading, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's just I try to teach, you know, some of the, you know, the younger guys that race here, and even you know, a couple of my employees, you know, that you know, when you're out front and they're calling your name, it's not the end of the world, because you got to remember the guys behind you have to go a little bit faster than you to catch up. And when they push it, they're generally going to make more mistakes. So awesome. If you just run your pace out front and just know that these guys are going to be doing everything they can to catch you, but they're probably going to lead to a little bit more crashing and stuff. So yeah, awesome. I just think it's funny because, you know, nobody really knows that I used to race, because it was so long ago, you know, and everybody, you know, I've been in the scene for so long now that, you know, everybody that's around now just knows of Jimmy the announcer. And, right. You know, when I tell them, you know, hey, I used to race, I mean, of course there wasn't as many video cameras and stuff back then. So, you know, there's a few videos out there floating around, but, yeah, a lot of people don't realize, and every now and again I'll go down to the track here and for club racing, and someone will hand over their remote and I'll start driving, and they'll look at me like, have you done this before? And I said, no, I just kind of came into this industry out of nowhere and just bought a hobby store and started a racing series and didn't have any experience.
There we go. Well, just we want you to know that your B3 is going to be well manicured. It's a very proven car. It's actually Eddie Henley's car that's in the case up in the front with Dunbars. Eddie's very excited as a track owner to be a car owner for that class as well. Knowing Eddie and his competitive fire, he's going to want to make sure that that car is on the podium, if not at the top of the podium. So it's going to be the best of the best. And
mechanic as well?
Yeah. What's that?
Are you saying I got a full-time mechanic as well now?
You have a full-time mechanic. Yeah, we got you all covered. All you got to do is just drive.
Well, I will be a little bit busy announcing, so
yeah, you will.
It will be cool to grab something, and then we'll get Matt Olson up there to announce.
Right. Yeah, we'll get you all covered. So let's transition to Matt. Matt, I know I was actually on the stand on Sunday with Alton Henley, and I didn't realize that they actually built the car that you raced at the Clash and let you run, which is pretty cool. I know you're an independent guy, and that's true and true. But Matt, we want to see you race at this event too. So I guess the question is that people are wanting to know what you're going to race. Let's talk about that a little bit. What kind of like if there's like a vintage car from your history or maybe from your preference, you know, what kind of class or what kind of car would you prefer to run at this race?
Yeah, it's going to be one of two or maybe even two. We'll see. But I'm going to break out my original car. I have my first RC car that wasn't a Tyco. that is the double XT. So I'm gonna have my stadium truck there. And if I can, the only thing I'm worried about is belts and front arms. And you guys can already know it's the double X4. Maybe
Okay.
Jimmy has some whittled belts over there in his stock or something, but I am and they may have something now. I'll have to see if I can make sure to get that, because I'm sure they're all dry rotted by now. But that 4-wheel drive was bar none, probably like the best handling 4-wheel drive I've ever driven. And I still have it.
So you're gonna bring some cars in a race, right?
Oh yeah, I got them. I'm gonna probably have to. I haven't looked at all the rules yet. I don't think we have to be on brushed and nickel metals. I think we can upgrade to newer systems. So I'm probably gonna hit up Tekin. That's what I've always kind of run. They're super good guys over there, so I might throw some new fresh electronics in those rigs and go through my my old goodies and make sure I have a stockpile of. I don't get rid of really nothing. People kind of know me. I don't. So I keep that stuff. So I have a treasure trove of double X stuff at the ready for this race.
So Matt, he said he's got you covered with any XX.
Thanks, Mike.
And XXT. So whatever you need, brother, we will get you where you need to be.
Yep. So Kirby from K&K, he's just one of our founding fathers. He's amazing. He's actually going to bring a trailer full of cars that basically are going to be spares for any of the legends that need parts. So if you guys break anything, Matt, you may not be considered a legend, but you're you're a legend in our books because you're a part of our race and you're part of our family of making this race happen. So if you need anything parts wise, we'll cover for you. So
thank you. Yeah, so I'll have some rigs going. So I got some that started off my my RC career as you would say, and a big part of what we've done. And yeah, thank you to the Henleys and everything. They've been at every basically national series race. I've been like an arrive and drive 2-wheel drive guy. I've had those guys. Cliff Nicholson hooked me up with his TLR. I know that the Henleys hooked me up with an elite out there. So these guys are just like, hey, here, go and run, because as Jimmy knows, it takes a lot of, he's a competitive guy, as we all are. I know every old school racer, like, we'd rather be where we can put our all into it and race, and feel good about it. But if we're going out there with something that we haven't even touched or it's not even ready, it's just not even worth racing. You're going to be in agony. So these guys kind of like giving you a rig that's already ready. You can say, hey, I need these changes made, and go out there and have fun. That's awesome. And it really shows the community and all these guys able to help out and really just like, hey, go and have some fun. So gonna do that, and testament to the hobby. And there's a lot of good people in this hobby, everybody on here and everybody watching. It's a great community.
Good. Yeah, it is. And he just had a comment up there from Jerry Walter. Jerry, I was texting him today from Arizona. Jerry's great. He's coming in from Arizona with some guys, and he said that if you need anything on the XX4, he's got you covered. So that's the great thing. Dirk talks about it. The vintage community. We're all going to be there together. We'll all help everybody out. So there's going to be a lot of potential failures at times, but everybody's going to have their stash of parts, and everybody's willing to throw a belt or an arm to somebody to keep them back on the track. So if you need anything at all, as we'll talk about, just let us know at the race, and we'll make sure we keep all your cars running. In worst case, we'll give you the radio to somebody else's, and you'll be out there. So
it'll be a good time. You guys have done amazing with the promotion of this event. I think I want to give you guys a huge shout out for that. You're keeping it in the community. You're really getting these guys together, new content. Really putting all the aces out there, putting your best foot forward. So for something that I would say a lot of these events, they kind of have to get going like a locomotive. The first year's not so big. Next year people hear about it. You guys are already kind of hitting the ground running with all the just all the people out there that have made this hobby great, and getting them all in one place, and that's just gonna blow everything up. So I'm super excited to see the turnout. And then testament to some of these, companies like Team Associated, I know they've been doing all these re-releases, instead of these guys trying to find, $400 RC10 kits to run, you can go and get one at your local hobby shop, like, Hot Rod Hobbies, so, and grab all the goodies there. So
Love it, Matt. Love it.
It's really cool. And then I know Hoosier, those guys have like Eddie is Crazy Eddie, and we already know he's crazy.
Crazy Eddie,
but he started as Crazy Eddie's, kind of like it was like a garage hobby shop thing that he started piecing cars out and like buying parts lots and getting stuff. And that guy has a full
right?
What's that?
Live auctions, right?
Then he had live auctions, Crazy Eddies, this and that. And he had a backyard track. And then they've opened up Hoosier, and they've done amazing things with that facility. It's so cool. Him, Angie, they pour and Talon, they pour their heart and soul into that place. But you go and look, and it's a fully stocked shelf of vintage parts just on the wall. And the new vintage stuff, but vintage and new vintage, I guess that would make sense. So they're about it. They're full force. So it couldn't be at a better location for a world-class facility than Hoosier RC Hobbyplex. They have everything you need in one spot, and the track is bar none, probably the best off-road track, I would say, as far as amenities and facility in the country right now. For an indoor clay track, it's amazing, so it's gonna be really cool.
I'm ready to see your face when you put slicks on those vintage cars and go out there and rip around, man. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be cool. I'll be throwing some JConcepts Smoothie 2s on there, the silver compound. So it'll be good, and we'll go out there and roll rip. I'll probably be just as fast with that than I am with the new stuff. So
well, I think Dirk, we might need to just tomorrow when we post the sponsor flyer officially to the public with all our sponsors, then we just have Matt on and just have him bridge every single connection that we've got. He's doing it for us tonight.
Because I was talking about community a little bit, Drew, and I just left an event, right? And I was in North Carolina for Tamaya World Classic. I think it was the third year running. I had about 126 entries, but it was about the community, man. You would be amazed how these people came together. And, when I had my little incident, all the guys gathered around, they made sure I was good. And it's the outpouring and it's just what it's about, man. It takes you back to the old days, right? And, a great event. And it's just good. It's good to go see your buddies and hang out. And I probably had more questions at this event and more people like needing things. But that's what it's supposed to be about. You're supposed to share and help. And everybody's like, how much you want for that, Dirk? I'm like, man, I don't want anything. I just want to see you racing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was such a pleasure. When I walked into Hoosier to come see you guys a couple weeks ago, first thing I walk in the door and somebody recognizes me and go, hey, man, I'm trying to get this RC10 ready for the race. I said, well, hell, let's walk over here to this wall that Eddie has full of vintage parts. And I was able to get him exactly what he needed to get his car ready for the March event, So it's what it's about, man. And I think this event is going to bring so much more recognition to vintage racing and what it's truly about. I really want to capture the moments and the pits and the different things, and I want people across the world to see that. I want to, and Mod's going to allow us to do that. So it's amazing.
Yeah. It's going to be really cool. And another shout out too, and something that we need to do is I'll have to talk to Larry Tom over at Hobby Action. But for the last couple years, they've had the Kenwald Classic. If you guys know, and they've had some pretty deep like vintage class that's there. Like you look at some of those cars that they have that are all done up to the to the hilt, and they're beautiful. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to be going up against this, and they got everything upgraded, all ready to go. So I think a lot of the hobby action guys are going to bring the heat, and kind of be ready for this. And it's going to be, good to see. And I think a lot of people are going to come out of the woodwork, for this event. And I'm excited for it. It's going to be one of my favorite ones for the year because it's going to be something new. This is going to be an event. I think Jason Rona mentioned that. How do you make something not just in a race, but an event? And I think that's what you guys are creating here all together is something to come out to, and you gain much more than just 15 minutes on the track, so I think it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Dirk.
I can tell y'all this, and y'all don't know this, but Drew and I have known each other for a long time, and one reason this partnership works so well is he puts on an event at any race he does, right? And that's really the difference in what we're doing now and what a lot of people do. But Drew knows how to make things memorable, right? I still have a plaque sitting over here, it's like in my entry to my hobby room, that says it was like on my pit when I walked in, Dirk Anderson, Old School RC, right? I actually framed that after that event. But, at that event, he had food for the people brought in one day, and, he did a national anthem before the race started. But, Drew, when he does something, he does it well. And the combination of these four sitting here right now, along with the founding fathers of Mike Kirby, Amberly Kirby, Drew, myself, Eddie, and Angie, and then our, the platinum sponsors with MIP, Team Associated, CalRC, of course, Jason, right? It's gonna be epic for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're working really hard behind the scenes, almost too hard in some cases, but we're turning over every stone. I mean, vintage community and Matt and Jimmy, I can just tell you that we're going to be one of the big goals of this race is obviously to benefit Eddie and Angie, right? But the big other goal is, and honestly, this goal is kind of trumped as this has evolved, is that we want to make this race, more relaxing. We want to make this race end a little bit earlier during the day so that we can all go out and do things at nightlife. We're talking about some cornhole tournaments inside the facility as well after the races and fun events. And we're going to do all this stuff. So we're going to announce it all slowly as we get closer here. But we're going to be doing we don't want to be racing until 9, 10 o'clock at night. We want to be done by 6, 7 every night to where we can go and have dinners together and play cornhole together. And, who knows, maybe even do a race where one guy's running the throttle, one guy's running the steering wheel, have team stuff. So this race is going to be a lot of cool things we're going to announce over the next couple months. We're turning over every stone, reserve pit spots. It's been asked about a lot. It will all be taken care of. Everybody will have their personal name tag on their pits when they walk in that facility. It'll be amazing, I promise. We saw some of the t-shirt comps for the t-shirts that the first, anybody that starts entering the race starting Friday through February 17th, the t-shirt is maybe coolest t-shirt I've ever seen in RC. So we're working on those comps. We're working on, all kinds of cool giveaways, raffles at the event, waffles, which we'll talk about more with you, Matt, behind the scenes. But you're going to have some of the most amazing waffles that you've ever seen. I won the polo. I have it over here framed from the World that you guys were wearing, and you had everybody signed, right? We want to do a lot of that. We want to have signed things by these legends, as you talked about, that it's like a once in a lifetime experience. What about the pit board that Matt Francis is going to use at the race, or maybe a toolkit that one of the guys is going to use, or, we're doing some custom little gifts for the guys that we'll do some extra ones that haven't signed. And, it's just going to be the waffle is going to be based around creativity, but also amazing once in a lifetime things that nobody's ever going to see again. So your waffle is going to be super successful. We'll talk about that more off the air, but I want to go back quickly to the photo shoots. The photo shoots that your guy does, hopefully from the expectation he comes, because, having Joel's car
100%.
that he's racing with, right? I mean, and Francis's car and Jimmy's car, all the highlights of this, that's what people are going to want to see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And not to cut you off, Jason will be there. By the way, he's already scheduled out. I think we're probably going to shift our coverage a little bit, more so like the racing's going to be good. We're going to try and capture everything like that. But I may try and come in earlier to get set up earlier so we can do more behind the scenes, what's going on, in the pits with this stuff, because not like today, but I would say Jimmy definitely knows is a lot of these cars were like, very customized back in the day. Like there's custom hand whittled parts on there, guys have different things going on. Today's cars are all the same, every one of them's the same, just in a different color. So kind of, I think like that Traxxas Bandit, that gained so much traction. One, because it's a Traxxas Bandit and it was competitive. But two, you saw a lot of people that were commenting like, this is what RC used to be. Guys just, getting these things, going and together and trying different stuff. And he, Pat Mac and Cheese, he had the, the double turnbuckles on there to, to stiffen it up and, reverse the transmission and, made it work for him. And that was a lot of the stuff. That was how the MIP 4-wheel drive went together. That was a 2-wheel drive car. And, some of the stuff I was holding probably holy grail stuff the other weekend of parts on trees from the original 4-wheel drive that Eustace has. And he's got just a treasure trove of these parts. And I'm like, it was $10,000, and both my hands of, guys would give up their wife for this right now. And it was, the blocks that he had on there that were handmade, for the front end of that car, that he did some teen years ago when I wasn't alive. So it's, I think that a lot of the magic is going to be in the customization and how guys get those cars on the road here and on the racetrack, and kind of the new old rigs. And we're going to, our main focus is going to be, just that, really capturing the life of the event. The racing is going to be cool too, don't get me wrong, but something like this, we have to spin it a little bit to really capture the magic.
Yeah. John Wayne says it great down here. This is going to be a once in a lifetime event, and I truly believe it will. I don't know when we'll be able to get all these legends done. And the other thing is we got 14 right now. There's a couple huge names sitting in the background right now that we're just waiting on a couple things on. It's going to be epic, and you're right. Seeing the background stuff is truly what it's going to be about for sure.
Yeah, there's a couple of big names that haven't been able to confirm just yet, saying that they may be able to confirm closer to it. But I just want everyone to know that we are already preparing cars for these guys, painted custom bodies, getting the cars ready, built by some of the fastest RC racers in the country that know these cars, so that when they confirm, we have a platter that says, here's your car. So, but yeah, I mean, the list is on the live signups. We've announced most of them. There's some that we haven't, and I know people will start, dissecting that, and that's fine. But we're going to continue to work our magic, and it's going to be awesome. Like I said, the other thing that we want to do too, Matt and Jimmy, is work live interviews in with a lot of these legends on the live cast and everything too. So talk about all that stuff. Oh, Matt put up a different picture there or something. Oh, he's driving.
I'm here, but I gotta go announce some racing. So you guys are gonna be going with me to the track, but I'm still here.
No problem. All right. Well, Jimmy, the other thing I wanted to ask you too is that you're the race director. Okay, you're the guy that's in control of the ship. We want to, I've heard that you run an amazing show, well-oiled show. Just as it's going to fit perfectly in line with the Hoosier culture there. But what are some of your expectations from, yourself, but also just the racers and what you really want to see out of this race?
Well, first of all, to piggyback on something Matt said earlier about the promotion, obviously you guys know that that's what I do for a living. I put on RC car events all over the country, and of course, majority in California. And when he was saying that you guys have gone above and beyond. Trust me, out of anybody that knows about promoting a race, it's me. And I can honestly say that what you guys are doing is good work, and way out too. You guys started doing, videos and stuff a long time ago. So I think it's just going to build and build and build. And it's going to be, like Matt said, one of the most incredible things ever. I'm just going to be stoked to be a part of it. I actually, when it comes to the race program, I'm a little nervous because my forte is lots of people and going full throttle, for like 16 hours straight, and I don't think this is going to be that type of race, because it sounds like there's going to be lots of breaks and lots of, different stuff that's going on, maybe some presentations or whatever. So that part will be a little bit difficult because I'll want to be going full throttle all the way through. And so when you guys are like, hey, we need to stop and do this raffle, I'll be like, no, we got to go.
Hey, real quick, you need to drop if you can, brother. We appreciate you coming on and can't wait to do a little more with you for sure.
Yeah, Matt, Dirk and I actually plan to start a message with you, just like we have with Jimmy. We need to just line out some stuff with you, and we'll knock it all out. So just be expecting that message chain from us over the next 24 hours or so. Okay,
all right, brother. We appreciate it. Jimmy, if you want to stay on for a little bit, you can. I know I've got a little more time about you, Drew.
Yeah, I would love to talk to Jimmy a little bit more.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I mean,
have fun at the race.
Yeah, have fun. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, Jimmy, we're going to be, so over the next 48 hours, we're going to be posting the event schedule, hour by hour, which you've seen already. We're going to be posting a slightly revised event flyer, which is already out there. We are going to scale back the modern classes a little bit and really put a lot more focus on the vintage side. We're going to take out a couple of the 17.5 and 13.5 modern classes. We're going to have the modern classes still because it's important for locals. It's important to bridge all this together in this event. But as this race has kind of organically grown, we're wanting to make sure that we don't have so much racing that it impacts all the things that we want to do. The Legends Q&A, the concourse, the after event stuff. We want to, and Eddie and Angie, quite frankly, they want to be a part of some of the nightlife stuff that we're doing. And they don't want to be at the racetrack at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So we're optimistic. They run a tight show, and I think the expectation is that even though, we could still have 40 heats of racing, that we've got to burn through, but we've got 5 minutes for every race, except for the A mains of 6, to try to keep that all nice and consistent and keep it flowing quickly. But obviously as a race director, we just got to reinforce good marshaling habits, and we brought you on to be the guy that makes this all happen. We're super excited, but also has the knowledge of all the vintage and modern stuff to make this event just amazing from an announcing call.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I look forward to some good racing, and I think I'm your guy for this one, because I'm not like if you haven't noticed, I'm not the biggest talker when it comes to not being on the mic, but I never shut up when I'm on the mic. So it's kind of like I have my own ways of getting people to do what we need to do. And, I've kind of picked up over the years, I always say from when I first started racing, as a racer, I would go around and, I would hear, dozens of different announcers through my travels, and I would kind of, pick up on the stuff, that I liked, and, kind of made mental notes of the stuff I didn't like. And then, of course, when it got to, got to the point where I was going to be the one behind the mic, I kind of, brought the stuff that I like to see, when I was a racer to the forefront, and then kind of got rid of the stuff that I didn't like. But no, I'll be on my A game, as I always am. I've never, it's funny. I told somebody this story. So I've been announcing for so long, and you think about people, people get sick, people do, stuff happens in people's lives, and, people call in sick to work, and there's not been one single event that I've ever been asked to do that I've missed. I think I was, I've been sick at certain events and stuff like that, but I've never not shown up. And yeah, so I have my own ways of doing things and getting people to turn martial and making it fun and kind of making light of certain situations to kind of get my point across, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, I know Hoosier. Actually, I've got a almost 10-year-old son, and Alton, who is Eddie and Angie's. I think he's about 10. We've also kind of talked about paying them some money too, to be, quick on spot volunteer marshals for anybody that, maybe we have something short or someone can't do it. But Hoosier's a big track, so typically it requires about 8 marshals to structurally marshal it correctly. But the thing about that track too is that we typically, all the heats are going to be 12 people, right? So, obviously they just had this big race out in the East Coast where Dirk was at, where they had 126 entries. And that's great. But at the same time, Hoosier has the ability to have 12 people on a stand at the same time. Right. So if we have a 400 entry race, it's going to flow just almost as good as that one, because we're putting 12 people on the stand at a time to run these races. So
and that's really huge, because that's everywhere I go. There's different driver stand side. You go from my track out back where I can put 10, or you go to Thunder Alley, or where you can do 12, and then you go all the way to the big tracks like the dirt, and I can put 16 or 17. But yeah, the more people you can put in a race, the quicker the day goes. And obviously, the more coverage you have. I'm not sure what they do, at Hoosier as far as numbered cones. But one of the things that I would like to do is make sure all the cones have numbers on them, and that's how you really make sure you get the correct people there. Because if you just rely on people to come out and just say grab any cone, then there's a few stragglers. Say you have 8 cones and you have 12 people in the race, and you have a few stragglers that just kind of bail on you, because all the cones are covered. So hopefully we can get some numbers on the cones and make guys go to the numbers that match their car number. And then I can look at the 4 cone and say, okay, 4 is missing. Look at my sheet and say, so-and-so, you need to be out there, that type of thing.
Well, once Eddie puts this amazing layout together that he's already starting to visualize in his sleep, we'll set up a chart that you can have up in there where it kind of looks at your view, and we have the spots all marshaled out. We can cater to your needs on that for sure. And normally, Lance has done a lot of the races that they do recently, the Clash, and they packed a 2-day show, a 3-day show basically in 2 days with the incoming ice storm, and they made it work. Now they were at the race long hours, but we're really working hard, and Angie's all about the calculations of all that. The other cool thing that we're going to do, Jimmy, is that for Clash, what they did was on the controlled practices that we have set up, they will all be structured by the heat sheets that are already preset by Angie. So basically, when you get to the track on Friday for sure, but also if you even come on Thursday, which is going to be an optional practice day, not required as part of the event, but optional, she'll have all that stuff set up to where exactly when you're going out to practice. It's not an open practice. It's like you're in this race, heat number 10. You go out there up on the stand, and then you go and marshal right after. And so it worked out super successful at Clash, and Angie told me that that's something they're going to do for every big race moving forward. So basically all that'll be posted on Live RC. Everybody will know exactly when they're supposed to practice in every heat sheet, essentially. And, we're just going to crank. So I think the dynamic that we'll need to figure out, Jimmy, is when you race in the Legends class, either I can go up there in the booth and call those races while Matt's doing his thing, or we can pull Matt over, or even Robert Stevens can do it. But we'll make it work so that you can compete with all those guys and make that Legends invite class pretty epic, which is going to be anyway.
No, I look forward to that. And like I said, I'm all about working. So if it got to the point where there was no one else, I would gracefully bow out, because I'm the type that it's work before play. Now playing is fun, but I'm here to work and then have a little fun on the side. So whatever you guys need, I'm all about it. And then obviously I'm used to bringing, my laptop, but you just mentioned that they're going to have basically all the computer, the names in and everything ready to go before I even get there. So that's pretty exciting, because I'm used to doing everything from start to finish, setting everything up. Like Matt was just saying, you get there, I set everything up, I, put all the names in myself, I run all the races, pack it all down, with my crew. And so, yeah, that'll be a huge bonus for me. It's just basically getting there and basically be ready to plug and play.
Yeah, awesome. Well, like I said, Vintage Community, the event schedule officially by hour will be posted probably tomorrow, actually. Signups are going to go live on Friday. We've got all of our sponsor flyer getting posted tomorrow as well. We can start, Hotrod Hobbies is on there as well, which we're super excited about. And yeah, I mean, Jimmy, it's just going to be an awesome event, but we also want you to be a part of the nightlife stuff that we're doing in certain cases, different levels there. And we obviously excited to see you race with your buddies. I mean, that's a big part of this race. So we've got guys that can help cover that. And Dirk, what else we want to talk about? There's a comment here that I know Dirk's had posted. Why don't we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I want to go through several comments if we have time, because there's a lot of questions coming through.
Let's do it.
And then there's a big one here from Benjamin James, if that rings a bell. Hey, Jimmy, interesting factors about the 03 Worlds. Do you miss racing, even though you had much success promoting and directing?
The answer is 1,000% yes. But I can drive an RC car all day long and never get sick and tired. Where I lost interest a little bit back in the end, towards the end of my racing days, was all the wrenching. I'm not the biggest fan of wrenching.
Me either.
I would be the best driver in the world if I had a mechanic, because I can literally tell you exactly what the car is doing, what is wrong. But as far as, and I know the basics on what to change and stuff, but, if I had someone to, okay, just tell me what it's doing and I'll go make an adjustment. For a while there, there was a stretch where at the time it was Sidewinder fuel. I was all 10 scale. Sidewinder fuel broke onto the scene, and they got in contact with me and said, hey, we want you to be our #1 team driver / team manager. And I said, well, I've never raced nitro before. I've never raced A scale before. I'm a 10 scale guy off road. And they said, we don't care. We know you can drive, and we just want to get our fuel out there. So, and then I said, well, I definitely don't know anything about the A scale cars, and definitely don't know anything about tuning any nitro engines. And they said, no problem. Just pick the best guy you know. So I picked a buddy of mine who knew everything about nitro, and they paid for him to go to all these races with me. And it was kind of the coolest thing, just being able to, tell him after a race was over, like, I need a little bit more steering on power and stuff, stuff like that. And then, he would just go make changes. And then it was always funny because I'd be like, what'd you do? And he's like, don't worry about it. Just go drive. And then if you like it, then I'll tell you what I did. So yeah, when you piqued my interest when you said that, Eddie was going to be, doing a lot of the wrenching, and, cause that's what I love to do, is just drive. But, yeah, as far as, missing racing and yeah, absolutely. I miss racing. I mean, it's super hard nowadays to stay motivated, just because my entire existence for 35 years has been RC cars. Like I went from racing and, working on the track and emptying the trash cans, down at the track, to like eventually getting a job in the hobby store, working here for like 10 years as I was becoming faster on the track. And then, eventually led to becoming, a pro driver and traveling all over the country. And then when that all ended, then, I wanted, like I was telling you earlier, to stay in the hobby. So I picked up the announcing thing. I bought the hobby store, and it's just been a crazy, 35 years to go from, racer to, track owner to hobby shop owner to race director, race promoter. And I can honestly say, that I'm one of the very few that has kind of got my hands in everything, from, top to bottom, all the way through this industry, from a business owner to just a racer on both sides of the counter at the hobby store, to both sides of the microphone, being a racer and listening to the announcer, to then being a racer, or being an announcer and race director. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And, seeing the new people come in and their excitement for the hobby is what keeps me going. And, you know, a lot of the local kids and stuff, and, you know, running up the stairs in the shop, Jimmy, guess how I finished, stuff like that, is really, really exciting to me. And what it's what keeps me going, in this old age, I guess.
I don't know if Matt's still he's still in the background. I don't know if he can still hear us. You good? You want to come back on? I can't tell what he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, so Matt's just going to provide some. I mean, he seems really excited, and I love what Bod's Media Broadcast does, and look, the Sign Up Show live Friday. We've been when we first came with this concept, we didn't know what to expect, right, on either side, on modern or vintage, but it just seems like with all these legends that are continuing to confirm that it's going to be very vintage weighted. And JConcepts, he kind of said good thing to scale back the modern. The modern's very important to the local family there, because they want to make sure their local crowd is catered to as well. That way, may not buy vintage cars but be a part of it. So that's why we're keeping 21.5. It's very possible that some of the modern pros are going to come, because the Roar Nats is a month away from them. So we're keeping 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive open. Well, and then obviously 40 plus is a modern class that's going to be there, because there's guys like, look, we haven't officially talked about this yet, but Wednesday night, before this race kind of starts, there's going to be a club race there. They sometimes have like a slash race, but they're going to open up to their locals to be a part of that. And I know that there's some legends that are flying in early. And Brian David commented tonight that, Jimmy, he's really excited to hang out with you and share old stories and reconnect. And, Brian's kind of preparing some cars for some buddies that they're going to be kind of, doing some stuff on Wednesday night in modern cars, just to screw around and get some laps and have fun. So, we're really structuring this race as a 3-day race, right? Because that's what we wanted to do from the very beginning. But there are other things that are going to happen that week that we're going to announce that are optional, that you can partake in if you choose, but it doesn't mean that it impacts your ability to have controlled practice and to be a part of all your races. And I think everybody's going to partake in that. So again, I think it's going to be an amazing week for Hoosier. It's going to be an amazing week for us. And I'm super excited. I know, Jimmy, you're working on your flights right now, and look forward to hearing what you end up coming with. And I'm looking forward to spending, a lot of time with you. I know that I'm going to be kind of your chauffeur and your buddy a lot that week. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun times together. And I'm looking forward to making lots of memories, man.
No, that's going to be good.
Sure.
That's going to be really fun. And, going back to what you said about, I actually agree that, the Henleys need to add, modern classes, because at the end of the day, I'm not too sure how you guys have it worked out, but I would have to assume that all of these pros are coming in and they're not paying entry fees, and more than likely they're not buying any parts in the store. And as a hobby shop owner myself, I think of all the different sides, and at the end of the day, though, that family needs to make some money also, because they're opening their doors and they have bills. And so obviously they need to open up some classes and get some entry money in and stuff like that, because, paying for, myself and Matt and everybody else that's coming along, is not cheap. And I just hate when hobby shops, or when I read that another hobby shop is struggling or closing or whatever the case,
Right.
is.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're excited for all you guys. I mean, you're going to be such a big part of the race. I mean, Matt, we're going to do great things for you to have amazing coverage, content, photography, availability, interviews with the legends, amazing waffle opportunities that are very unique to this event. And like I said, Matt, we're going to connect with you, Dirk and I, probably tomorrow, so we can start getting your flights confirmed and kind of getting everything lined out with you as well as we have with Jimmy. So looking forward to that.
We're looking forward to it 100%. And something that we've kind of done, you guys saw, we've really expanded upon our the photography side with like almost, these days. And I know that Jason did it back in the day at the JBRLs, was he would have like a packet of like 4x6 photos, and he would bring them there for people.
Yeah.
And he goes, man, he goes, I would never sell these things. Like they would just, because I think back then we weren't in the digital era, you know, so everybody always had photos. Like it was just normal to do that. Now it's almost like going to Disneyland, you know, and getting your photo off of, you know, for the log ride or something like that. Like this is now a custom thing. And we've had where people have come up and they're like, I get messages or they're like, dude, thank you so much for doing that. I've never had a professional picture, you know, of my rig before.
That's
and because we, you know, as Jason and I, we've been friends for a long time, but working together in this standpoint, you know, for pretty much the last year since the Worlds, when he got the haha photo that went absolutely viral. That was like the, you know, where the car breaking the other car and at the Worlds, that got like over 1 million views. It's probably the most viral photo ever for RC. But since then, everybody's always looking for their car. So, you know, we have the deal that Jason goes out there and he just sits for an entire seating round or an entire qualifier and grabs everybody's photo and gets something of everybody's car. So we're going to try and do this. And I think with the vintage, you know, it's going to be taken up a notch where these, you know, these things are going to go viral because they're going to see these cars just getting twisted and everything on this awesome track at Hoosier. And we'll have those photos, you know, there as well. So people can, you know, take home, you know, something from the event that's completely custom to them. So I think it's really going to be cool.
Yeah, I guarantee you the one with 14 legends on the driver's stand together is going to be amazing. A lot of people are going to be wanting that one.
Yeah, well, and to Dirk's point too, and Matt and Jimmy, I mean, like we're building some cars for some of guys like Jimmy and obviously Matt Francis is going to run my B2. So, you know, I've got a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that I put a durable car on the track for guys like him. But, you know, like Dunbar's like hand building his car. Joel Johnson's hand building his car. I mean, some of these legends are actually building their own cars, you know, and bring them to the race and bring them down. So, yeah. Curtis, custom Curtis car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Eustace,
yeah.
you know,
Yes,
earlier.
Eustace, right.
Yeah, with Curtis, you know, two of those guys are kind of like the ones that kind of invented RC, in my opinion. That, you know, back when hammering out RC10 chassis was a thing. And, you know, Curtis knows no other way than to build something, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be super cool to see that.
And Curtis is on the live cast. He's like already bending his kick up on the World's car to a different angle than anybody else has, and all this crazy stuff.
That was a great interview.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt Olson, I don't know if you knew this or not, but that haha photo was Mason Templeman, and he's working my shop right now. He's up there while I'm in my office, but he's the one that you see the haha on the bottom of the chassis. And so we didn't notice, but if you look at the side of the car, that you're just looking at the bottom of the chassis, you can see like a little Hot Rod Hobbies logo and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. And then going back also, guys, what Matt said earlier, like everybody is like, oh, well, Matt, you're not vintage, or you're not a legend, I should say. But anybody that hasn't seen the MOD production, it's crazy. So I mean, if you're talking about a legend, there's no one more legendary than Matt when it comes to putting on live broadcasts and stuff. So don't sell him short. He does a great job, and with all the work, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, we just worked together a couple weeks ago in Arizona at the U.S. Open race, and this guy doesn't cut any corners. So you guys are in for a great broadcast.
Yeah, we appreciate it, and Matt, we'll get all that lined out with you too.
Yeah,
it's going to be good. And thank you, Jimmy. By the way, I'll just thank you so much. And working with that guy, legend right there. So thank you so much. And we're really looking forward to it. We're going to step it up even further, guys. And we're talking about the waffle, this and that. We were having connectivity issues. I made another like $1,000 investment in some more equipment right after that. So I'm like, we ain't going to have no more problems, you know? So we put our money where our mouth is, you know, and really, you know, reinvest what the community gives us to make it that much better. So we're gonna become punching, you know, we're good now. We'll be even better by March. So it'll be really good. Thank you.
I love it. Love it. All right. Well, I don't want to keep anybody too much longer. I know this was just one of those like really intuitive calls of two other personalities working on their own these segments that we were trying to morph, and we did a good job with that. But we're excited. Thank you for being a part of this and making it great. We're obviously in constant communication. We will continue. Vintage community, we've got another amazing live cast next week with we don't have to spoil it, but Jason is going to be on. Jason is going to be on next week. It's time for him to show his face and talk about his thoughts on this race. And that's the thing, talking to Jason as much as we do, I really think the expectations for this race have really blown him away. I mean, we'll get that officially from him, but he is so excited. He's excited to be a part of this, and I'm just glad he's our sponsor and just such a legendary figure for what we're trying to accomplish here.
He sure is, Drew. We're very lucky, and I'll tell you what. I'm gonna be honest. I think the bar is being raised for future promotion of races.
Yeah, we got so many amazing things in store. I mean, we're gonna just be patient, guys. We're gonna go live this week. You get signed up, get your money paid so you can get your shirts, and you're also gonna get many other free things as well, included with your entry fee that are gonna be in a cool little package. But there's gonna be so many other things. I mean, being able to walk up to Jill Johnson and be able to walk up to Matt Francis and ask them questions and the other thing too is that those confirmed cards that we're starting to show, Mike Kirby's working on printing those out as trading cards, and so you're probably going to be signing a lot of those things at the event. So Matt, you may be asking for your autograph a lot more than you think. So same with Jimmy and all these other guys. But we're excited. Dirk, go ahead and send us off, my man.
All right, guys. Thank y'all very, very much. Got a lot of fun stuff coming. I know you said it, Drew. Saturday night. It's going to be casino night, though, so y'all mark your calendars for that.
For sure. There you go. Brian Dunbar, Matt Olson is the man, bringing RC closer to mainstream broadcast. Can't thank him enough. Jimmy, he can't wait to mingle with you. So there's your sign off from another legend, guys.
There you go.
Love you guys. All right, we'll talk soon.
I'll give you the new deuces.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
See ya.